Hey, and welcome to the video series on LinkedIn marketing. This specific video is the introduction to LinkedIn marketing. In this specific video series, we're going to be talking about how you can reach out to people, build relationships, position yourself as an expert in your field and in your industry, and expand your brand and strengthen those relationships and get people who are looking for you and wanting your services. From here on out, I want you to have a different mindset. And what I mean by that is that LinkedIn is a very big social network, but the environment is very different from Facebook or MySpace and places like that. With Facebook and MySpace, and if you're doing business with Facebook and so forth, the mentality is often to get a very large network. Now, with LinkedIn, they have rules and regulations in place, whereas you don't want to, send too many invites and things like that. And you want to focus on quality relationships. So forget about how big your network is and how many people that you have in it, but instead focus on the quality relationships and the leads you have. So if you have a few, you start out with a few, that's fine. That network can grow, but you want to focus on quality over quantity. And second of all, forget about, personal ego, brand ego, how famous you can become in terms of expert status. That's not really what we're aiming at in terms of this specific video series. Our strategy is really to gain trust in a different way, in a way that people will see you as trustworthy, credible, and honest. So it's about serving and about helping others. And that's the way you want to position yourself, because you can imagine by doing so will actually increase your network and people will begin talking, and therefore you'll get a lot more quality relationships out of it and quality potential business from it. So it's about serving and helping others and building trust and relationships. All you need is a LinkedIn account. You need perseverance, the will to move forward, because there will be times when you are not succeeding at all, and there will be times when you get to that point where you have that will to move forward and you will succeed. So perseverance and a serving attitude. The strategies that we're going to be using, it, in the light of helping others, and to the point of doing so, getting you to a expert status by using that strategy. But there's a lot more that goes into that. A quick overview that I'm going to give you about the video series as a whole, so that you understand what we're about to go into and how they all work together and so forth. So video number one is this specific video. Video number two are things that you should avoid doing in the LinkedIn network, and other roadblocks that you will face within the LinkedIn network. Video number three, we're going to talk about how to create a profile that stands out. Obviously, in this case, you need to know your audience. Different audiences are different. So depending on the audience that you're trying to reach, your profile catered to that audience needs to be catered to that audience, and so forth. So we'll talk more about that in video number three. Video number four, we're going to talk about how to brand yourself and gain expert status. Video number five, we're going to talk about a specific strategy that you can use to start conversations. If you're not familiar with that, that just means that, start conversations with people. How do you start conversations with a random stranger or somebody on LinkedIn that you've pinpointed to be somebody that you want to talk with and so, even if you don't know them. How do you start doing those things? How do you make a connection with them? Video number 6, we're going to talk about a strategy that you can use to gain trust and likes fast. So once you have conversations with somebody, how do you gain their trust and how do you get to the point where they like you? And video number 7, we'll talk about how to build strong relationships. Okay, you've created those conversations, you've gained the trust, you've expanded your brand, you've gotten to a point where you're an expert in your field and people understand that. How do you strengthen those relationships that you have? Because a lot of times with LinkedIn and any other Facebook, social network or any other site, you often meet somebody, but then you forget about them, they forget about you, and so forth. How do you keep building a stronger relationship from that point? So we'll talk about that. And last of all, we're going to talk about how it all works. So let me give you a quick formula so you understand how it all works, and we'll get straight to the content of this video series in video number 2. So first, you need to know your audience and what they're looking for. And that relates to profile, creating the right profile that targets your audience. Once you understand what they're looking for, you want to help your audience. You want to gain their trust. You want to build relationships with them. You want to be seen as an expert. And then you want to have them begging for your services. How do you do that? Well, we'll talk about that. How to expand your brand, how to strengthen relationships with them, and so forth. So we're going to move on to video number 2 and talk about things that you should avoid doing on LinkedIn and much, much more.